Everyone is talking right now about impeachment because that's what brings ratings. The news is not about what's interesting anymore, it's what brings ratings. Which means that people like myself, a little Romanian from a tiny room, needs to bring Americans news that they probably didn't even hear about. And I'm going to talk from the Daily Beast. I'm using the Beast's own news network. It's not like I'm making this up. But it's interesting because you can search for this on Google and you're going to find very little results because if you go for GOP arrested or any type of search that you can think of, you're going to be flooded with news about impeachment. Meanwhile, this, which I consider to be very newsworthy, I consider to be astonishing, you're not going to find that many articles about it. So I'm just going to tell you what this is about, and then you get to tell me if you find it interesting or not. If it's newsworthy or not. Maybe it's not newsworthy. Maybe it's not newsworthy. So look at the title. Armed militias pledged to fight for fugitive Oregon GOP lawmakers at any cost. It's like, what do you mean fugitive Oregon GOP lawmakers? Like actual senators, all right? Like no, just try to comprehend this because it's hard. I mean, for me it was hard. I had to read this like 5 or 6 times to make sure I get it right, and then I had to find at least 5 other sources to make sure that this is correct. Yes, there are American right-wing senators on the lam right now. They're running away from the law. This is getting crazy. Yeah, no, I know. You'd think it would be covered by any sort of news network, right? Like you think this is a major thing. So why are elected representatives from the right in the United States running away from the law? Well, apparently the Democrats want to pass some climate change bill. And the Republicans don't want it. But here's the thing. In order for that bill to pass, they need to fit a quorum. So a specific number of senators need to be present in order for them to be able to take a vote. Now, the Republicans, they don't have the numbers. They know they will lose the vote. So they decided not to show up, which is a perfectly legal way of doing business in a democratic country. This happens all the time in Europe. And I'm pretty sure the Democrats do it when they can as well. Like they will refuse to go in the hearing so that they don't have the quorum. But unlike other times, it seems that the actual people in charge, the governor of Oregon, has ordered the police to forcefully take the Republicans and bring them all the way so they can have the vote. Do you think this is newsworthy? I'm asking now. Maybe you can fall on different sides of the issues. Maybe they need to vote. Bring the slaves over here so they can vote. Maybe that's one way of tackling the thing. But the question is it or isn't it newsworthy? Shouldn't it be on the main page on every single publication ever? Now I need to mention that this is a couple of months old, right? It's from current year, but it's from the 6th. So, excuse me if I just found out that I'm being shocked, and I want you guys to be shocked as well. How did this manage to get past me is something that I don't know. But anyway, so a right-wing militia group across the Pacific Northwest are mobilizing to prevent Oregon State Police from arresting Republican state senators who went into hiding on Thursday in order to prevent climate change legislation from passing. This is something that I would expect from a country with a very weak democracy, like some insurrection type of thing. It's in the United States. By the way, this is how you legitimately get civil war. Like, what is a civil war? It's when two factions are struggling for power in a nation. Right? Like this is now with Republicans, and this is dangerous for our democracy, as they like to say. But what's interesting is like they haven't committed a crime. There isn't a crime to leave the Senate. Like these people are accountable to the voters, and the voters get to decide by punishing these people in the next elections if they haven't done their duty. So the police has literally no right to arrest Republican state senators. And here's my question, right? I don't know how many they need to make the quorum, but let's say they need 7. I'm pulling it out of my ass. They need 7 people to get the quorum. So let's say they manage to get 5, and they arrest 5 of them. They haven't found the other 2. So what do they do until they find the other 2? Do they put them under house arrest? Do they lock them in the Senate? Are they going to go to a jail? Like, what is the solution? You know, until you get all 7 and then push them in so they can vote. This is insane. All 11 of Oregon's so they're 11. All right. So let's say they catch 8, but they're missing 3. What do they do with the ones that they caught? Huh? So all of the 11 Republican state senators are currently on the lam. Yes, I have managed to read to you guys correctly. All right. Republican state senators on the lam from the Democratic controlled police, even though they haven't committed a crime. With some leaving for Idaho in an effort to deny the Democrat-controlled Senate a quorum to pass a cap-and-trade bill. The Oregon governor, in her infinite wisdom, Mrs. Kate Brown, is citing a provision in the state constitution that allows the state to compel absent lawmakers to attend legislative sessions, dispatch state troopers to bring them back. I would love to get my eyes on that constitution. I would love to read the actual legislation which gives the power to dispatch state troopers to force elective representatives in order to pass a vote. I genuinely think she's misinterpreting it. That's my pure, because if that's the case, if let's say that as actually such a legislation, then you wouldn't see anywhere people just refusing to show up so that they don't have a quorum. Right? Like, this is the first time I hear about it. So yeah, I mean, look at this. Oregon Governor Kate Brown dispatches state troopers to find Senate Republicans who skipped out on climate vote. How dare they? How dare they? They want to see Mother Gaia suffering. One of the lawmakers warned that he would resort to violence rather than return to the state, implying in a local television interview that he would attack law enforcement officers sent to retrieve him. Send bachelors and come heavily armed. I'm not going to be a political prisoner in the state of Oregon. It's that simple. I mean, militia groups in the Pacific Northwest, a hotbed of far-right extremist activism, claim they've mobilized to protect those senators. Well, first of all, this is the Daily Beast calling someone far-right. But secondly, this is why Americans have the right to have guns. It's literally in the Constitution to form a militia to fight off against an oppressive government. Like, you can't find a better example than this. I mean, maybe you can, and you can show me, but like, legitimately, they have a militia and they're fighting the government by protecting the senators on the lam. We're doing what we can to make sure they're safe and comfortable. I think that the Idaho militias are in touch with their Oregon counterparts about the senators. In a Facebook post, a member of the Oregon militia said that they vowed to provide security, transportation, and refuge for those senators in need. Again, American senators, like the people elected in the United States, are running and are on the lam being defended by armed militiamen against the Democratic governors who have sent the state troopers after them. I wish I was making it up when I say that this should be literally international news. On every single television, on every single front page. Like, do you guys not agree? Am I losing touch here? Am I? Regardless, with whom do you believe? Like, who is in the right? Maybe you believe the Democrats in the right. Maybe it is an actual legislation in Oregon, which states that, yeah, people are forced to go to Senate. In which case, you wonder why do they even need a quorum? Because that's literally why they have quorums, by the way. Like, a quorum is a sort of veto. It's like when you don't have the power to vote no, you can start a protest and just not make a quorum. Like, you know what? Every single democratic country has this shit. That has been done in every single country. You know, when a legislation passes that the opposition opposes that much, They just don't show up, so that, you know, like it's not something out of the ordinary. But anyway, so this isn't the first time lawmakers of either party have fled their states to deny their rivals a quorum. So we got the 2003, the Texas Democrats left the state to avoid a vote on restricting legislation, while Democratic lawmakers in Wisconsin fled in 2011 to block Republican cuts to union rights. But what makes the current standoff in Oregon unique is the offers to help from militias and the threat by at least one of those lawmakers to shoot the police himself. Well, sue him. You know, sue him. Bring him to justice. Bring him to court. Let's see if you can actually convict an American citizen for saying, you know what, if you're going to send the cops after me when I didn't do a crime and you want the cops to restrict me and drag me against my will, yeah, I will defend myself. All right, you know what? Bring it to trial. Let's see. Let's let the judge, in his infinite wisdom, because I don't know American law. Like, to me, it seems that this is the actual purpose of militias. Despite their offers, it's not clear whether the Republican senators are in contact with the militias or not. Parker declined to comment about whether this group has been in contact with the senators themselves. One source inside the Oregon militia told the Daily Beast that the members are willing to put their lives in front for the senators' lives. The source claimed that dozens of our militia members have mobilized to protect the senators, blah, blah, blah. So, I don't know if these cases, like where the Texas Democrats fled, or the ones in Wisconsin fled, if they had the state troopers sent after them. But it was wrong back then, if that's the case. And it's wrong now. And it's not wrong, you know, maybe it is the law. Maybe legitimately the law states you can bring them by force. But then you have to change the law. Like, the law is shit in that circumstance, right? So the militia leader compared the fugitive state senators to the far-right activists who engage in an armed standoff in the Bundy Ranch. Weren't the Bundy Ranch like these people in the right, according to a judge? Huh? Oh yeah, look at this. Yeah. No, they were in the right. Stunning victory for Bundy family as all charges dismissed. Yeah. Critics are afraid that the far-right militia are going to be in power. Well, it seems the far-right militia groups are operating under the U.S. Constitution. You know, if the left wants to be in power, try working under the Constitution rather than against it. Just a thought. They are public officials, they carry some weight, yet they are talking like they are straight out of the Malheur occupation, Temple said. Well, maybe don't legitimize their talking points by sending state troopers after them. Maybe, just maybe, and maybe get the mainstream media to cover this shit. Oh my God. Let me know if you're in America and you've heard about this news. I'm shocked. I'm like, literally, where did this happen? And by the way, it seems that they backed down, like they stopped sending the troops because the troops would have had an issue. Because as I understand, like these senators were in rural areas where, yeah, these militias are actually quite powerful and doesn't look good on cameras. You know, you don't want a little mini Hong Kong protest going inside the United States by the democratically owned state troopers versus the American military. That doesn't look good on cameras. But, you know, what can I say? I'm starting to understand why the Second Amendment exists in the United States. I'm starting to understand. Like, if the Second Amendment didn't exist, I suppose, you know, they would have been brought in by now. These senators, they would have been compelled to vote. I've never heard this. Like, look. Maybe I'm in the wrong. You know, maybe I'm in the wrong and I'm not really remembering what I learned in law school and all these principles about democracy and stuff like that. Maybe I forgot. Name me any other democratic country on the face of the earth where you can compel members of the public, like the elected people, the senators, to forcefully move them in the House and force them to vote. Name me one country. Maybe there is and I just don't know it. Let me know what you think and I'll see you guys in the next video.